Oh, everybody, oh my God, I got a sister on the channel today that's gonna put it down on you. Watch out, I'm telling you. She gonna blow your mind with some stuff about some black folks doing some things on an island. That's all I'm gonna tell you. We had a beach on an island off the coast of the West Coast. I mean, the East Coast. She gonna tell it to you because she down there now, and she looked like the weather warm, everything. I got 30 degrees outside here in Detroit, and she on the beach out there, sand all in her feet and everything. I can't wait to get back down there. And you know, this is what we do. I'm Anthony Brogdon. You know who I am. I'm just living a dream. I'm telling you, I'm finding these people who know this information, and then they are willing to tell it to us. And I'm so grateful. And this is my way of getting this Black history out there, all forms, any of it. And so I'm so thankful she's on the channel. And I'm gonna really be thankful when you hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna really be thankful after you like this video. I'm gonna really be thankful after you hit that notifications bell, because then that means that you get the little notification when I put new videos up. And I'm doing 4 or 5 videos a week. I mean, this thing is rolling, all right? And I'm having so much fun. You can tell by my excitement, my enthusiasm. Because you know what? I love me some black people, all right, everybody? I'm enthusiastic about this. This is a good something that I came up with. And then I really want you to do, and this is my own personal tip. This is how I make a living, right? I'm a filmmaker, and I got this documentary on the rise of black business in America. Slaves that went to college. And I list names in my film. I got interviews of people whose family owned the business in the early 1900s. I'll give you one example. I got the descendants of a black-owned cemetery that was started in 1925. There was no place for us to bury each other. And they bought the land in a white neighborhood, shocked them on, they didn't know what they was doing. And then they opened up a cemetery, and it's still operating today. That's what's in my movie. It's 75 minutes long. It's gonna blow your mind. And it's available on Amazon. Because, you know, a lot of people don't have them DVD players no more, so it's just streaming. You can watch it on your laptop. You might even be able to watch it on your watch. I don't know. You know, you all got money. Yeah, then look at your watch and then you can see it. And then I wrote a book, and this is the book. It's called Black Business Book. Now, the book don't have the interviews, understandably, but it's got more facts. I cover some of everything in this book. I don't give you no commentary, though. I just let the facts stand on its own. And then I give you the link to where I found it so you can read more. So I invite you to read my book. And I'll be so happy when you buy it that I autograph it for you. And I'm going to be honest with you, maybe that one day that might mean something. Trust me. I'm jamming. You see what I'm saying, my friends? So get your copy of Black Business Book. It's also on Amazon. But if y'all want to cut the big man out on Amazon, he got a ton of money. Then just go to my website, businessintheblack.net. And, you know, I came up with that name, Business in the Black, a long time ago, because if you're in business, that's where you want to be, in the black. You don't want to be in the red. That ain't good. So it's a good play on the words, right? The other thing you hear me talking, I know the sisters say, come on, man, I'm tired of hearing you. Come on, let me roll. But let me tell you the other thing is strong. You hear me say strong a lot. Strong inspirations. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. Strong. I got a strong sister. Go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us a little about yourself. Let's go, strong lady.
Ooh, after your introduction,
oh yeah.
Oh, you know, but first of all, I gotta say thank you for loving black people, loving us.
Yes.
And you know, having a business that's all about the business of keeping the awareness and the history about us, because if we sleep on it, we'll be comatose.
That's right.
Forever.
That's right. Now say your name. We got to know who you are.
So much that we need do. My name is Carol J. Alexander.
Oh, that
Where
is
I live, there are about 3 other Carol Alexanders, but I'm a special Black woman because
yes,
I
you
got
are.
that J.
Yes.
Carol J.
I
Alexander.
told you she's strong, didn't I? I told you
You
I
gave me the energy. You gave me the energy of it. But just to give you a little bit of my background, I have been blessed to be a keeper of the culture and history, and not something that that I knew that I was going to do this. It was just a path that I began to walk in, and I have opened 3 museums. One in Jacksonville, we opened in 1999. It was a museum and theater called the Ritz Theater and La Villa Museum in Jacksonville, Florida. And I did the building and curating of both a 400-seat theater and 11,000 square foot museum. Now, the museum tells the story of African Americans in Northeast Florida, but specifically Jacksonville, the home of A. Philip Randolph, James Weldon Johnson, John Rosamond Johnson, Dr. Janetta Betch Cole, A.L. Lewis, who we're going to talk about today. A very rich history that a lot of us, I grew up in Philadelphia, and I grew up learning Lift Every Voice and Sing first as poetry, then singing it only on special teas and stuff in the 60s that Black churches had, singing it only then. And then moving here in 1980 and knowing that James Weldon Johnson wrote it here. His brother wrote the music. So a
really? I
lot
didn't know that.
Of that history. Yes, his brother wrote the music. He wrote the words to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's birthday and Frederick Douglass's birthday. He was principal of Stanton School at the time. Only went to 6th grade because Black folk couldn't go any further. And in 1900, wrote those words, brought it home. His brother then put it to music. And that's hence what we still sing now. Our Negro national anthem now, this Black national anthem is Lift Every Voice and Sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of
there
liberty.
You go.
Those words still ring and should ring with us today.
Yes.
So that one museum is still open, the Ritz Theater and La Villa Museum. I left there in 2012 and moved to DC and got involved in a bunch of other things that uplift Black folk in the arts. And then while I was there, because of my closeness and the relationship with who I call Mama Mob, the beach lady, when she made her transition in 2005, and we'll talk about 2005, just remember the number 5. She was the champion of keeping a Black beach in the minds of all of us, far, far, far reaching, because people would know about it or didn't know about it, which is American Beach. And I opened the museum in 2013. And then 3 years later, I found myself in West Africa, in Liberia. And the then president, who was the first female president of any African country, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, asked me to reopen their museum, which had been closed down with civil war, and then Ebola, if you remember, hit Liberia. Yeah. And they were in 20 years of civil war, and this museum had been bombed and looted. And
yeah, so you're internationally known.
Experience, that would be another show.
Yeah.
But today we are talking about American Beach.
Okay.
The origins of American Beach have to go all the way back to Jacksonville. And because you wrote that book about Black businesses, yes, this history you'll find intriguing. So a group of men, 7 men, got together in a Baptist church. They were not all Baptists. They were ministers from other churches. There was a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, and a laborer. And his name was A.L. Lewis, Abraham Lincoln Lewis, born in 1865. Remember, I told you about the
That's
five.
5. I like it.
In 1865, think about why his parents would have named him Abraham Lincoln Lewis.
Yeah.
Of course, because of the president. But he never liked Abraham Lincoln, so he always used his initials, Abraham Lincoln Lewis. They opened this insurance company after traveling on a Flagler rail line up to Philadelphia to Mother Bethel Church, who had a benevolent society that took care of Black folk in Philly. They wanted to learn that, brought that information back, and they began, I need you to see on this, in 1901, the Afro-American Benevolent and Benefit Society.
All right.
Afro-American is the point. It later became the Afro-American Life Insurance Company.
Let me ask you this. Let me stop you there. Where are they in the timeline of Atlanta Life with Harridan and North Carolina Mutual?
All around the same time. And I think Atlanta Life came right after them.
Okay. But North Carolina was before them, probably.
I'm not sure about North Carolina. We need to look that up so that we know as we speak about this later. Yes. So they began this in January of 1901. By May of 1901, the city of Jacksonville burnt down to the ground. Another story, all right, in itself. But the wind blew east. It was most of the white folks' business. Some of the Black folk, it started in one of the Black neighborhoods, La Villa, but it blew east. And one of a secretary of this new insurance company or this benevolence association, her name was Eartha M.M. White, another historical story that you're going to have to learn at some point.
Yeah, tell that one.
Gathered the material, took it to A.L. Lewis, and the rest of the men said, you all take care of that. We got to help rebuild our church, our business, da-da-da. So he continued to build this company and then ultimately became the president of it.
So at this point, he's in his 20s or 30s?
He's in his late 20s, exactly.
Late 20s. And he's educated and everything else.
No, he was the only one out of those 7. He was the only laborer, but had business. He was not educated. The only one. That's interesting for the class and society that you will find in a lot of Southern community societies. And A.L. did not have it. However, A.L. ended up, because I'm going to abbreviate the story to get to American Beach, but A.L. Lewis was the first Black millionaire in the state of Florida. That was well after they started in 1901, this insurance company that also was a first. It was the first insurance company of Florida, Black or white. The first insurance company of Florida, Black or white. Black folk.
But he had to know how to read and write and everything, I'm sure, right?
Had only a 6th grade education. The other men did, and we didn't go to formal school. We learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He was good with money. He was good with people. He was very religious. He was good in the church, trustee, he was just a learned man. But the businessmen, the preachers, the doctor, the dentist, they had to, and he had a shoe shine company. He had a lot of different small enterprises in the community because La Villa and in the northern part of Jacksonville was a hub for Black folk to come. There was many businesses. There were like 600 different businesses in La Villa. And La Villa was in the 20s, was called the Harlem of the South. That's what my first museum is about, this whole Black community called La Villa. All of the entertainers in the 20s and 30s during the Renaissance would leave New York and do this chitlin circuit. They would always play in La Villa before they would go. The jazz greats would go to Chicago, for example. Really? So that's another history in a capsule. Let's go.
How do you say the Villa? How you spell that?
L-A, capital V as in Victor, I-L-L-A.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
And La Villa was an encampment for Black Union soldiers. There is a couple of forts here that the Union Army would bring down to buffer against the Confederates when all of that was happening. And a lot of the Africans who were enslaved joined the Union Army trying to get out of slavery. And that was, the Massachusetts, infantry and all that. They were all stationed in La Villa. So when the war was open, a lot of Black folk came back here because there was opportunities for labor. We're on the water. So all the waterways, they were shrimpers and working on cargo ships and hotels. Jacksonville was like the place in the South, the white folks. So we were working for them. So the fire happens. A.L. Lewis becomes the president. And then he had insurance agents that were all over the state and in southern part of Georgia. So he would do things for the employees of the Afro to have, a good gathering time. Now, we're talking Jim Crow time when water fountains are segregated, bathrooms are segregated, front of the bus is segregated, all the common things that we've learned about that. You know what else was segregated? Beaches. We couldn't even go down to God's sand and enjoy a day. So A.L. Lewis would take his employees up to, there's an island just north of Jacksonville called Amelia Island. And Amelia Island had plantations because it was one of the islands past the prohibition against slavery. The Florida was owned by the British, then the Spanish during the war, back and forth. And they would sneak slaves into Amelia Island. Plantations came up and they were growing cotton and indigo, and a lot of shrimp was out in this northern part of the waters, in the Atlantic Ocean. So after the war, this one plantation gave a lot of land to their ex-slaves. These folk created what was called Franklin Town. Now, the island wasn't developed as we know resort islands and stuff now. So A.L. Lewis would bring the workers from the Afro up to Franklin Town for relaxation and recreation.
Let me stop.
Water.
Let me stop you there. When you say bring them, they had the boat to get there, right? It wasn't
no. In Jacksonville from Amelia Island, there are bridges.
Oh, there were bridges even during that time.
Yeah, there were bridges. So they would
have. And the bridge ride is 10 minutes or something like that.
Well, if you're in the north part of Jacksonville, it may take you 40 minutes to get up to Amelia Island. Okay, so
40 minutes. The bridge is not 40 minutes.
Oh, to come from one part of the water to the other, it may be about 10 minutes across.
Okay, I got you. It's that close.
Yeah. Yes.
I got you.
But it would take 40 minutes from the land into the island.
I got you.
So they would come there, and then churches would come there. And now we're talking about the late 20s, early 30s.
I got you.
And they would come there. There were buses that would bring large groups to Franklin Town. Now, next to Franklin Town was all of this wilderness land on Amelia Island. A.L. Lewis looked into who owned the land. They found out, so he got a white man to go and intercede in Nassau County to buy this land because a black man couldn't do it. They went through all of that, which is another long story, and they purchased the first 200 acres of this land.
Let me get you stopped right there. I got to go in there. When he got the white guy to do it, the white guy didn't jam him up.
No, not
so the white guy did the right thing.
Okay. Now, another point about this, again, back to the 5. This was 1935.
Okay.
By that time, A.L. Lewis had a lot of real estate in Florida, specifically Jacksonville, and other parts of the country. He was now the first Black millionaire, okay, in the state. So he was very respected by a lot of white people, as long as he stayed in his place. But he was very respected.
Let me ask you this. What does he look like? Is he a tall guy? Is he dark skinned? Does he look like he could be white? You know what I'm
Not at
saying?
all. That's so interesting. So no, he was tall, kind of big, kind of stocky looking guy. Kind of, I'd say he probably was 6'1", because he was tall for his age, 6 feet. I mean, for that time, six
Yeah.
feet, 6'1", and very dark.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Okay.
So it's not like, Fortune and, some folk like that pass and they're
Yeah,
allowed to.
right. That's what I was
And
getting at.
we got a lot of that here in
Yeah.
Gullah Geechee history and heritage.
Oh,
But
sure.
anyhow, so they get the land and it is purchased under the insurance company because initially it was for recreation, and this is a quote of A.L. Lewis: recreation and relaxation without humiliation. Still dealing with Jim Crow, end quote. Recreation and relaxation without humiliation. So buses and church buses would come, and then Black folk, like we are, back to the Black business book, we are enterprising. So there was one business that would rent bathing suits. The woman would make them, the husband would sell them. There was another one who purchased land, and all of the lots on American Beach were 50 by 100. A.L. Lewis said, this is like a second home. We don't need to have, big things coming. So all of them were carved 50 by 100. So somebody would buy a lot, have a little house on it, and then in the front, they would rent. They would have a business. There were people who had a little bathhouse where you could get off the bus. They have some water in a bowl and you clean up and put a bathing suit on, take the bathing suit off, spray the sand off, give the bathing suit you rented down to the other business. There were people, you think of food trucks now, man, they had people cooking every 12, feet.
Yeah, I got you.
So the beach was heavily popularized and a lot of people would come down. Now, before A.L. Lewis built the beach, he built a golf course because we couldn't even go to a golf course. Joe Louis was very popular then. He would come here to play golf on the Lincoln. Remember Abraham Lincoln Lewis?
Yeah.
It was called the Lincoln Lewis Golf Course. So fast forward, they bought more land. So now let's put a pause. How did they get so much? Yes, they did buy another parcel, the Afro-American Life Insurance Company, another one. But they wanted this last parcel of land. Now, in the late 20s, Mary McLeod Bethune used to come to Jacksonville. This is after she started her school, and she was still building the school. And she would come on the weekends and work at the Afro Life Insurance Company. And she and A.L. Lewis became very close. And then that's how she met Mr. Cookman. And we know that in Daytona, we have the Bethune-Cookman University.
Right.
But Mary McLeod would come here a lot, and she helped him. There was a lot of fundraising also. So Mary McLeod and Eleanor Roosevelt became good friends. Everybody thought that Eleanor Roosevelt was a bomb of a lady. She was, and helped Black folks. She did. But it was the president's mother who had met Mary McLeod, thought that she was the most classy lady, wanted her daughter to meet this classy Black woman. And that's how they became friends. Fast forward, the president put her in charge of the New Deal. Fast forward, A.L. said, look, Mary, we need this parcel of land. There's some federal land in there. Can you tell Eleanor, do a little pillow talk and ask the president if we can get this land annexed? And that happened. So the rest of the parcel of what is now American Beach was annexed by the president. It's just a small parcel of land, but that's the beginnings, 1935, y'all, of this. So this became this Southern hub to come to, this Black resort area that all of the who's who would find themselves there. All of the new jazz entertainers. They would come and play in Jacksonville, if you will, and come to American Beach after,
Well, no, let me stop you there. Since you didn't mention, did they have a nightclub on American Beach where they all went to?
Eventually.
Okay. Okay.
And so eventually they built the Rendezvous. And yes, all of these entertainers would come and then they would have these sit-ins. They may get off the road from being in New Orleans, coming back east to go north, and that's where they would come. So you would have a Ray Charles playing, well, hold on, Ray Charles was another story, but Duke Ellington and all those greats would come. But back to the Ray Charles, he went to the school that was called at that time for the deaf and blind in St. Augustine, which is south of Jacksonville. And as he got older, he would come into Jacksonville to sit in to play with the jazz greats at the Strand and the Roosevelt nightclubs, theaters, clubs. So when the American Beach happened, he was just like normal around this area.
I got you.
So it became this wonderful hub up until 1961 when the hurricane came and Dora and just decimated everything.
Oh, so it was still going up to that point.
61. Some Black folk were able to, because now a lot of houses, all Black owned, all of the Black elite or those who could purchase and have a second home, they had it there. And even if you could not afford it, the churches in Southern Georgia and Jacksonville were still bringing people in busloads on the weekend. That's where you did Easter Sunday after church. You go take the bonnet off and sunbathe.
Yeah.
So in the mid 60s, some people began to come and rebuild, some didn't, but some did, and it struggled. Then by after 65, everything began to open, you know? So segregation of beaches is no longer.
Yeah.
So you go to a white beach now by 1969, 70.
Where we going with that?
And a lot of the houses went dormant. People just paid taxes, let it sit.
Yeah.
Now, let's put a point in that one. Let's go back to my 5.
Okay.
Audience will know the siblings post A.L. Lewis. So A.L. Lewis had a son, of course, and his son.
He was married. A.L. Lewis was married?
He was married. Why would you ask me that? Because that's another historical point.
Yeah. Okay.
There's something else here called the Kingsley Plantation. Zephaniah Kingsley took African women off of these slave ships. One, he had 4 children. He never married or had children by a white woman. They were all African women. One, and there's a plantation here that's still, the National Park Service has it in Jacksonville, still to tell that story. A.L. Lewis's great-granddaughter, Mary, married A.L. Lewis, was his first wife. All right, put a pin in that. Great-granddaughter of this white slaveholder, his granddaughter, she was brown, married A.L. Lewis. Now, back to A.L. Lewis and the offspring.
Okay, I got you.
A.L. Lewis's son had 2 children. One named after her great-grandmother or grandmother, Mary, and the other after him. Okay. They had children. Let's just talk about Mary's children. Mary had 3 children. The oldest, her name was Marvine. Mar being the first 3 letters of her name, Marvine Betch. She was great in music. She became an opera singer. She was one of the first to go to Oberlin. The second was Janetta Betch Cole. The audience will be either Atlanta or in North Carolina.
Yeah.
She was the president of Spelman College and Bennett College. The only one to hold that position of 2 women's colleges.
Yeah.
President of. Then she left there and became the director of the Smithsonian African Museum.
Yes.
Presently, She is the head of the National Council of Negro Women.
Yes, yeah, she's heavy. Yeah.
Which was started by Mary McLeod Bethune.
Yes.
Janetta used to sit on Mary McLeod's lap on Sundays at dinner at her great-grandfather's house. Let's go fast forward.
Okay.
So she's the second child. The third child was her brother or the son. His name is John Betch, after their father John, and he's a renowned jazz drummer, and he has been living in Paris for years. Has played everybody.
Yeah, sounds.
Let's come back to Marvine.
Right.
Marvine. She is who I call my spiritual mama.
Okay.
Fabulous opera singer, had come back to Europe because her grandfather and her mother got ill. They passed. She decided to stay. She stayed in the home on American Beach of her great grandfathers. She lived outside. She got ill and told the creator if she were healed, that she would give her life to the earth and to serving people. So she never went back to sing in Europe, stayed there, abbreviated. She was healed. She began, and because she was the oldest of those three children, when the grandfather died, who had inherited a lot of the money from the great-grandfather, A.L. Lewis, she now inherits this.
Okay.
Able to take care of the family. She begins to give all of her money to the pygmies, to children without food, to any environmental everything. She stays on the beach. She was a magnificent marketer. Right. Now, she hated Ronald Reagan so much, she took the R out of her name and she became M-A, capital V-Y-N-E-E, Marvine. She hated Ronald Reagan. So she became the champion of saving and doing the marketing and the education of people about American Beach. Meantime, developers came and started buying the land out from Black folk, taking land all around Amelia Island. Now, if you go there, it's $1 million resort. American Beach, some of the acreage has dropped, but Marvine was the person who kept it solid and kept the history going. So as she began to be this recluse on the beach, she grew 7 feet of hair. She had 2 feet of nails. She had this voice that would capture people just in her spoken word voice. People would come from all over because all of these newspapers would write stories about her.
I got a couple questions.
Yeah.
How big is Amelia Island?
Amelia Island itself is 16 miles long, but American Beach is just, probably about 200 acres left now of.
But in this heyday, how many people would have lived on American Beach, or Black people?
At one time, hundreds. Now, permanently of Black folk, because a lot of white folk are coming in, holding land for years and coming in now and building. I guess there's about 20 permanent residents that are Black. Everybody else has a summer home that comes, on weekends.
Yeah, I got you. Is there a festival there that honors him, or some kind of event that the Black people still come back for, Labor Day or something like that, just to be a part of?
Not an organized kind. There are many different organizations that do come back. We do have the museum there. It's been closed now since COVID, but once we opened, the museum is there. When the beach lady died, she asked me to cut her hair because she always said I was going to have a museum. I was like, but I honored it, and I cut the hair, kept it in a basket for like 6-7 years before I was able to open the museum. All of the streets are family names and people who worked at the Afro-American Life Insurance Company.
Why did he call it American Beach?
That is such a good question. He called it American Beach because A.L. Lewis would say in his writings, we are as American as anyone else. Okay. So he made that statement.
Okay.
As a wealthy man, he would only give out, and think about, he died in 1947. So think about in the 20s and 30s and 40s, $5 bill is a lot of money. he would give out $5 bills on certain holidays. Why? Because Abraham Lincoln was on the $5 bill and he was
Oh,
named after. I mean, he had all of these, and Marvine was equivocal like that. She would find something and meaning out of everything back to five. And
okay.
I'm in
Let
the
me let me ask you this: did he was he a part of the National Urban League? Did Booker T. Washington know him and all that, or was he?
so intuitive. So he was part of, he and Booker T began the Negro Business League.
So he was okay. So people knew him then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
era
yeah,
knew A.L. Lewis by that time. Yeah, he was a part of that. No, not the Urban League. I
yeah,
don't think the Urban League was even enforced at
yeah.
that time.
But they knew him.
NAACP was, and of course, think about who he grew up with. He was born in 1865. He grew up, the 10 years later came James Weldon Johnson, who was the first Black executive director of the NAACP.
Yeah.
From Jacksonville.
Right.
A. Philip Randolph. Think.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I'm sorry to bring this up though,
No.
and because we're not going to end on this note. I'm gonna got one more question after this. Did he have some controversy? Did the white folks jam him up one day and hey man, you ain't paying your taxes, or we're gonna take your land? Did he have anything like that?
No, he never had major controversy like
Never
that.
had it. Okay, good.
Only kinds of little ones we hear locally. He had a son that had an accident that killed somebody, and they got, but not much.
And then how about this one? What happened to the insurance company? What ended up happening?
Sadness.
What's the short story there?
Short story is it went into its decline in 1988, I believe.
Oh, so it lasted that long?
Yeah, one of the family members, it got messed up. Let's put
it got messed up. Yeah, okay. So is there a question that I have not asked you to close us out or something? You're an energetic lady. Is there something that he used to say or something like that? Is there a symbol on the beach where it's a tree that everybody gathered or anything like that?
Two things. His quote is, I have mentioned before, is relaxation, recreation and relaxation without humiliation. One. Number two, is there a place? Yes, there is one of the largest sand dunes on the beach, and the beach lady was able to get it secured by National Park Service. So she used to say half of Jacksonville was born up on this dune. She named it Nana, which is, an African term, a Ghanaian term. And 5, everything she says that is magical was 5. He was born 1865. The beach was started 1935. She was born 1935. The Voting Rights Act 1965, on and on. And she would tell me that if what you speak, and I think this is how we close, what you speak and what you believe, you can create your own magic. And she said at 5, everything will happen, because she was so into numerology. She died in 2005, the age of 75, at 5 a.m. I can close with the beat.
Yeah, you can.
Magical. Magical.
Everybody, you see what I'm doing on this channel, man?
You asked me.
I want to know. Oh my God. I'm so happy you came on the channel. I don't know what to do. I'm so happy. Let me here go one more question. When is a good time to come? Because I got my second shot coming up. I'm going places. When is a good time to come down? Is there still a gathering down there or something when you might be there or something? You could take a little tour.
Always a gathering. People love American Beach, but the museum, I hope to have it. I'm just going back and forth. Our museum, the brother that I lifted up, Yunus Asami, he was my manager, passed away. And then everyone else that operates it are senior citizens.
Is there
a website?
Yeah, tell us the website. Yep.
American Beach Museum. All one word, AmericanBeachMuseum.org. Okay. So you can go there, you can see old pictures and also see things that are coming up when we open, see when we open, AmericanBeachMuseum.org.
Everybody, this is what we do at Strong Inspirations. It blows my mind, some of the people that come on the show. I tell you, I just don't know. So, man, everybody, come on, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video for sure. Hit that notifications bell so when you know that this video is up, you the first to watch it. Tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Watch my movie, read my book. Let's go down there to the island and let's have a good time when we can safely. And to you, my sister, I really want you to say, I say this to you with all sincerity. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind, because we love what you're doing down there, making that, keeping that history alive. We so appreciate. Thank you for being on the show.
All right.
We'll say bye-bye. We'll be back.
Bye-bye.